Grant Ellison stepped out of the black car and looked up at his big house. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. He smiled. Finally, he was home. He had been away for 3 whole weeks. 3 long weeks of meetings, hotels, and airplane food. But it was worth it. He had just signed the biggest deal of his life. His company would make millions of dollars. Grant reached into the car and pulled out his suitcase. Then he grabbed a big teddy bear from the back seat. It was brown and fluffy, with a red bow around its neck. He had bought it at the airport for Lucas, his 7-year-old son. Lucas is going to love this, Grant whispered to himself. He walked up the stone steps to his front door. His heart beat fast with excitement. He couldn't wait to see his son's face light up. Maybe Lucas would run to him and jump into his arms like he used to do when he was smaller. Grant put his key in the lock and opened the door. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Grant frowned. Usually, Mrs. Patterson, the maid, had music playing in the kitchen, or Lucas would be watching cartoons in the living room. But today, there was only silence. "Hello?" Grant called out. "I'm home." Nothing. Grant's smile faded. Where was everyone? He left his suitcase by the door and walked through the long hallway. His expensive shoes clicked on the marble floor. Lucas? Mrs. Patterson? Still nothing. A strange feeling crawled up Grant's back. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. He walked faster now, past the living room, past the dining room with its long table and fancy chairs. Everything looked perfect and clean, just like always, but empty. So empty. Then he heard it, a sound coming from the kitchen. It was soft, like someone crying. Grant's heart jumped. He ran toward the kitchen, the teddy bear still in his hand. He pushed the kitchen door open and stopped. He couldn't believe what he saw. There, sitting on the floor by the big refrigerator, was his son Lucas. But Lucas wasn't alone. A woman sat next to him, a black woman with her hair tied back in a neat bun. She wore a simple gray dress, the kind maids wear, but that wasn't what made Grant freeze. Lucas was holding on to the woman like his life depended on it. His small arms were wrapped tight around her waist. His face was pressed against her shoulder, and he was crying, not loud crying, but the kind of crying that comes from deep inside, the kind that makes your whole body shake. The woman had her arms around Lucas, too. She was rocking him gently back and forth, back and forth. She was whispering something Grant couldn't hear. "Lucas." Grant's voice came out strange and choked. Both Lucas and the woman looked up. The woman's eyes went wide. She started to stand up, but Lucas held on tighter. "Please don't go," Lucas sobbed. "Please, Nia, don't leave me." "I'm not leaving, sweetheart," the woman said softly. Her voice was warm like honey. "I'm right here." Grant felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. His son was calling the stranger by her first name. His son was begging her not to leave. His son was crying in her arms. Not his arms. Hers. "Who are you?" Grant asked. His voice sounded harder than he meant it to. The woman stood up slowly. Lucas stood with her, still holding her hand tight. "I'm Nia Monroe, sir," she said. "The agency sent me 2 weeks ago. Mrs. Patterson had a family emergency. She had to go take care of her sick mother." Grant blinked. 2 weeks ago? Nobody told me. "Mrs. Patterson said she left you messages, sir, and emails." Grant thought about his phone. He had been so busy with meetings that he barely checked his personal messages. He felt a cold feeling in his chest. "I see," he said quietly. He looked at Lucas. His son's face was red and wet with tears. His eyes looked tired, with dark circles underneath. When did Lucas start having dark circles under his eyes? "Lucas, buddy, I'm home," Grant said, trying to smile. He held up the teddy bear. "Look what Daddy brought you." Lucas glanced at the teddy bear. Then he looked away and pressed closer to Nia. Grant felt his heart crack. His son didn't want him. His son wanted a stranger. "Lucas, come here, son," Grant said, his voice shaking now. "No," Lucas whispered. That one word hit Grant harder than any business loss ever could. "Lucas." "He's scared, Mr. Ellison," Nia said gently. She looked at Grant with eyes full of something he couldn't read. Was it pity? Sadness? "He needs a moment." "Scared?" Scared of what? Grant asked. His mind was spinning. I'm his father. I know, sir, Nia said. Maybe we should all sit down and talk. Grant looked at his son clinging to this woman he barely knew. He looked at the teddy bear in his hand that Lucas didn't want. He looked at his big, beautiful, expensive kitchen that suddenly felt cold and empty. What had happened while he was gone? And why did his own son look at him like he was a stranger? Grant put the teddy bear down on the kitchen counter. His hands were shaking. Nia pulled out a chair from the small breakfast table. Please, Mr. Ellison, sit down. Grant didn't want to sit. He wanted answers. He wanted his son to run to him. He wanted everything to make sense again. But he sat down anyway because his legs suddenly felt weak. Nia helped Lucas into a chair next to her. The boy kept holding her hand, his fingers wrapped tight around hers. Tell me what's going on, Grant said. He tried to keep his voice calm, but it came out rough. Nia took a deep breath. It started the first night I arrived, Mr. Ellison. Around midnight, I heard screaming. Grant's eyes shot to Lucas. Screaming? I ran to Lucas's room, Nia continued. He was sitting up in bed, crying so hard he could barely breathe. He was having a nightmare. Lucas has nightmares sometimes, Grant said quickly. All kids do. Not like this, sir. Nia's voice was soft but firm. I tried to calm him down. I asked him what he dreamed about. Do you know what he said? Grant shook his head. His throat felt tight. Nia looked at Lucas, then back at Grant. He said he dreamed that everyone left him, that he woke up and the whole house was empty, that he called and called but nobody came. Grant felt like the room was spinning. That's just a bad dream, he said. Kids have fears. It happened again the next night, Nia interrupted gently. And the night after that, every single night for 2 weeks, Mr. Ellison, every night, Lucas woke up screaming, terrified that everyone had left him alone. Lucas started crying again, quiet tears rolling down his cheeks. Grant reached out his hand toward his son, but Lucas pulled back. That movement, that small pulling away, felt like a knife in Grant's heart. Why didn't anyone call me? Grant asked. His voice cracked. Mrs. Patterson tried, sir. She said you were too busy. She said you always said you were too busy. Nia's words were not mean, but they hit hard anyway. Grant remembered all those calls he ignored, all those messages he promised to check later. Later, when the meeting was done. Later, when the deal was signed. Later, always later. Lucas needed you, Nia said quietly. But you weren't here. I was working. Grant's voice rose. I was working to give him everything. This house, his toys, his school, everything. He doesn't want things, Mr. Ellison. Nia's eyes met his. He wants you. The kitchen went silent, except for Lucas's soft crying. Grant looked at his son. Really looked at him. Lucas's hair was messy. His pajama shirt had a small stain on it. His eyes were red and tired. When was the last time Grant had really looked at his son? During the day, he barely ate, Nia said. He just sat in his room, waiting. I asked him what he was waiting for. He said he was waiting for you to come home. Grant felt tears burning in his own eyes now. I tried everything, Nia continued. I made his favorite foods. I played games with him. I read him stories. But every night, the nightmares came back. Every night, he woke up terrified. What did you do? Grant whispered. Nia looked down at Lucas with such gentleness that it made Grant's chest ache. The 5th night, when he woke up screaming, I didn't just calm him down and leave. I pulled a chair next to his bed and sat with him. I held his hand until he fell back asleep. And? Grant asked. He slept through the night, Nia said. For the first time since I arrived, he slept all the way until morning. No nightmares. No screaming. Grant swallowed hard. So every night after that, I sat with him. I held his hand. I sang him songs my grandmother used to sing to me. I told him stories. I promised him that I wouldn't leave, that he wasn't alone. But you're just a maid, Grant said. Then he heard how terrible that sounded. I mean, you barely know him. That's true, sir, Nia said. But I was here. and he needed someone to be here. Those words hung in the air like smoke. Grant looked at his son. Lucas was looking down at the table, still holding Nia's hand like it was the only thing keeping him safe. "Lucas," Grant said softly. "Buddy, look at Daddy." Slowly, Lucas lifted his eyes. "Why didn't you tell me you were scared?" Grant asked. Lucas's bottom lip trembled. "You're never home, Daddy." 4 words. Just 4 simple words. But they destroyed Grant. "And when you call, you always sound busy," Lucas continued. His voice was so small. "You always say Daddy has to go now, or Daddy will call you back. But you don't call back." Grant felt tears rolling down his face now. He didn't try to hide them. I thought if I was really, really good, maybe you would come home more." Lucas said, "I thought if I didn't bother you, you would want to be with me. But you still didn't come." "Oh, Lucas!" Grant's voice broke completely. "That's not. You didn't do anything wrong. Then why are you always gone?" Lucas asked. The question was simple, honest, and it shattered everything Grant thought he knew about being a father. Grant had no answer. No good answer. All his reasons suddenly sounded empty. The big business deal. The important meetings. The money he was making. What did any of it matter if his son was crying himself to sleep every night, thinking he was alone in the world? "I thought if I made enough money, you would have everything you needed," Grant said quietly. "I thought I was being a good father by giving you a beautiful home, good food, nice clothes." "I don't care about those things, Daddy," Lucas whispered. "I just want you." Grant pushed back his chair and dropped to his knees on the kitchen floor. He was a powerful businessman who could command a room full of executives. But right now he was just a father who had failed his son. "I'm so sorry, Lucas," Grant said. "I'm so sorry." Lucas looked at his father. Then he looked at Nia. She nodded gently and let go of his hand. Slowly, Lucas slid off his chair. He took 1 step toward his father. Then another. Grant opened his arms. And finally, Lucas ran into them. Grant held Lucas tight. He held him like he should have held him months ago. Years ago. He buried his face in his son's hair and cried. Lucas was crying too. But this time, his crying sounded different. Not scared. Not lonely. Just sad and relieved at the same time. They stayed like that for a long time. Nia sat quietly at the table, giving them space. She wiped her own eyes with the corner of her sleeve. Finally, Grant pulled back and looked at his son's face. He used his thumbs to wipe away Lucas's tears. "I messed up, buddy," Grant said. "I messed up really bad." "Are you going to leave again?" Lucas asked. His voice shook with fear. That question made Grant's heart hurt even more. His son was afraid to even hope that things could be different. "I'm going to be honest with you, Lucas," Grant said. He held his son's small hands, his own. "Daddy still has to work sometimes. But things are going to change. Big changes." "What kind of changes?" Lucas asked. He sounded like he wanted to believe, but was afraid to. Grant took a deep breath. "No more 3-week trips. No more ignoring phone calls. No more being too busy for you." "Really?" Lucas's eyes grew wide. "Really?" Grant promised. "From now on, you come first. Before any meeting. Before any deal. Before any amount of money. You are the most important thing in my life, and I'm going to prove it to you." Lucas threw his arms around his father's neck. "I love you, Daddy. I love you too, son. More than anything in this whole world." Grant stood up, lifting Lucas with him. His son wrapped his legs around his waist like he used to do when he was little. Grant didn't care that Lucas was getting too big for this. He would carry him for as long as Lucas wanted. He turned to Nia, who was still sitting at the table. "Miss Monroe," Grant said. His voice was thick with emotion. "I owe you an apology, too." "You don't owe me anything, sir," Nia said quietly. "Yes, I do," Grant insisted. "You did what I should have been doing. You saw that my son was hurting, and you took care of him. You gave him what he needed when I was too blind to see what that was." Nia stood up. "I just did what felt right, Mr. Ellison." "You did more than that," Grant said. "You saved my son. You saved us." He paused and asked, "Do you have children of your own?" Nia's face grew sad for a moment. No, sir, I never had that blessing, but I've always loved children. Grant made a decision right there in that kitchen. It was the easiest decision he had ever made in his life. Miss Monroe, I know the agency sent you temporarily, but I'd like to offer you a permanent position, not just as a maid, but as Lucas's nanny, someone who will be here for him, who will care for him the way you've been doing. Nia's eyes widened. Mr. Ellison, Please, Grant said. Lucas needs you. And I need help. I need someone who will tell me the truth when I'm messing up as a father. Someone who will put Lucas first. Always. Lucas lifted his head from his father's shoulder. Please stay, Nia. Please. Nia looked at the little boy's hopeful face. Then she looked at Grant. Slowly, she smiled. I'd be honored, Mr. Ellison, she said. Lucas squealed with joy. Grant felt a weight lift off his shoulders. Thank you, Grant said. And please call me Grant. Over the next few hours, everything changed in that house. Grant called his office and told them he wouldn't be coming in for the rest of the week. His assistant sounded shocked. Grant Ellison never took time off. Well, I'm taking it now, Grant said firmly. And from now on, I'll be working from home 2 days every week. Make it happen. Then he sat down with Lucas and Nia, and they talked. Really talked. Lucas told his father about the nightmares, about how scared he felt, about all the days he spent waiting by the window for Grant to come home. Grant listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't make excuses. He just listened, and his heart broke a little more with every word. But it was a good kind of breaking, the kind that lets new growth come in. That night, Grant carried Lucas upstairs for bedtime. He helped him brush his teeth. He read him not one story, but 3. And when Lucas started to drift off to sleep, Grant pulled a chair next to bed, just like Nia had done. Daddy, Lucas mumbled, his eyes half closed. Yes, buddy? Are you going to stay until I fall asleep? Yes, Grant said, taking his son's hand. And will you be here when I wake up? Grant squeezed his son's hand gently. Yes, I promise. What if you have a meeting? Then the meeting can wait, Grant said. Or I'll do it from home. Or I'll cancel it. You are more important than any meeting. Lucas. Always. Lucas smiled. A real, peaceful smile. Okay, Daddy. I believe you. Those words meant more to Grant than any business deal ever could. Lucas closed his eyes and, for the first time in weeks, fell asleep without fear. No nightmares came that night. Grant sat there in the dark, holding his son's hand, watching him breathe softly. Around midnight, Nia quietly came to check on them. She found Grant still sitting there, still holding Lucas's hand. You can go to sleep now, sir. I mean, Grant, Nia whispered. He's sleeping peacefully. I know, Grant whispered back, but I promised I'd be here when he wakes up, so I'm staying. Nia smiled. She brought him a blanket and a pillow. Then at least be comfortable. Grant took them gratefully. Nia, thank you for everything. He's a special boy, Nia said, looking at Lucas with love. He just needed to know he wasn't alone. None of us are alone anymore, Grant said. And it was true. That night, something changed in that big, expensive house. It stopped being just a house. It started becoming a home. Over the next weeks and months, Grant kept his promises. He worked from home more. He never missed Lucas's bedtime. He went to every soccer game, every school event, every moment that mattered. His business partners thought he was crazy. Some deals fell through because Grant wouldn't travel at the last minute. His company made less money than before, but Grant didn't care. Because every morning, Lucas ran into his room with a big smile. Because the nightmares stopped completely. Because his son laughed more, played more, and most importantly, trusted more. Nia became part of their family. She wasn't just a nanny. She was the person who helped him become whole again. She taught Grant how to really see his son. She taught Lucas that asking for help is okay. She taught them both that love isn't about expensive gifts or big houses. Love is about being there. Love is about showing up. Love is about holding someone's hand in the dark until they're not afraid anymore. One evening, 6 months after that first night, Grant stood in the doorway of the kitchen. He watched Nia and Lucas making cookies together. They were laughing, flour all over their faces. Lucas looked up and saw his father. His face lit up like sunshine. "Daddy, come help us. We're making chocolate chip cookies." Grant walked in and wrapped his arms around both of them, getting flour all over his expensive suit. He didn't care. "I love you both," he said. "We love you too," Lucas said, hugging him tight. This was what mattered, not the business deals, not the money, not the success. This moment, this love, this family. Grant had been a millionaire before, but now, with his son in his arms and love in his heart, he was finally truly rich. If you enjoyed this story about love, family, and second chances, please share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. Sometimes the most important success in life isn't measured in money, but in the love we give to those who need us most.